Clockwork, there's a Centaur, there's a Storm Spirit. Rubik can steal some spells as well. I feel like Mark has to be, like this Aghanim Shard cannot come soon enough. Like maybe might even need a Force Staff as well just to be able to confidently play this game.
Yeah, I think much the same as like the Storm Spirit in RRL. I think this is going to be not the freest of Zeus games, but we've seen time and time again that CDUB are very, very good at getting their early games and getting themselves off to a good start. And Mark has been a pretty standout player for this team as well. So these guys are going to be in a good spot to try and clean this series up 2-0. They've got a lot of good answers. The one issue is might be a little hard for them to take some towers. Wraith King's kind of the only hero that can do it for you. Taking Roche is going to be a little slow as well until you get things like the Desolator up forward. I guess I do have Tag Team and an Enchantress, so it's not going to be the worst. But, you know, the side of Ant, like once they get a few of these teamfight wins under their belt, it's going to be super easy for them to take objectives and take towers.
They're stacking up for a potential first blood if anybody from Ant is foolish enough to wander about for this bounty rune. Fortunately for the side of Ants, that is not the case. Although in retrospect, now CDUB will feel like they could have actually greeted it out and maybe even gotten 3 bounties. Nonetheless, off to a decent start here, just on regular 2-2. They know that they won their prior laning phase, so they're hoping for similar results. You see these lanes being stacked up. Isla and Sanctified down bottom on the Doom and Tusk respectively, taking on Argius on the Drow and a Feeding G on the Tusk. I doubt it's going to be as successful for them as it was in game 1. Like, that was just way too good. As also looked in the top lane. Something intriguing about this top lane is, I look behind the tier 1 tower. Look where they planted this ward. Oh, wait, hold up, thought. Down bottom, Feeding G. Actually falling very, very low. He's going to be fine, though. Doesn't end up dying. He's fine. He's okay. He's okay.
Yeah, they wanted to try and just get this the early aggression out of CDUB. They want to try and make sure that they're utilizing their HP pools to win this fight early on. Surprisingly enough, though, Argius has not come down here with any regen. Okay, he's got regen added to him now. Okay, I was going to say, I was like, that's a little bit of a bold move. So maybe just waiting until the bounty runes came up. But you can just see that CDUB now are the ones that are trying to move these waves around because they understand that playing into this Drow and Clock combination is going to be rough. But Argius, he's caught out.
No. He's in trouble right now, Argius. They have access to the snow. They don't have Snowball, but they do have access to damage coming in from the Doom and the Tusk. And they will be able to find the first blood. Scorched Earth helped to close the gap. Right clicks from Sanctified helped to get the kill. And that is another rough start for Argius. He wasn't first blood in game number 1, but he certainly did do his share of dying in the early 5 minutes. And the thing is, this lane, although it's not as strong, I don't believe, as the previous lane was, it's not like it gets any easier as time goes on. Eventually, Doom gets like a Centaur creep. You get Snowball on. They have Scorched Earth. They have this do the Snowball. They hit you. They stun you with the War Stomp. And then suddenly, as a Drow Ranger with like 700 HP, you're a very sad player.
Yeah. Hopefully Argius is able to just make sure that he stays away from Sanctified and Isla in this lane. And I'm really thinking that Feeling G is going to have to be the one that's just going to have to be a body, right? Like maybe he might be the one that cops an L sometimes and goes down. But as long as Argius is able to stay alive and get a lot of these creeps, it's always good. The big positive from that first blood for Ant was the fact that Argius didn't lose too many of the creeps. I was thinking, oh no, like he's going to lose this massive double wave that CDUB have caught up, and then he's not going to be able to get any of the experience. But he was able to stay alive, luckily, because it wasn't underneath the tower.
Mid lane, it's going to be pretty much a farm fest. Boring as hell. No need to watch that one too much until about level 6. Talk to me about something that I see happening in the top lane. This Observer ward that they planted behind the tower. So Ant, make sure to get this ward in just between where the pull will be happening. Do you like it? Normally I see this ward coming a little bit later, but as an initial ward, what do you make of it from the side of Ant here?
I think it's mainly just allowing them to have information about where the Enchantress is at any given time. You know, we've seen Enchantresses in the past, especially when they're able to dominate the lane super early on. They get their carry up to this level 3 mark where they're pretty strong in themselves, and they can just farm the small camp. So if they ever do see that, then that might give the time to go for Ant to get on top of Double King and force him out of this lane. But it's kind of one of those, as you said, one of those wars that you see a little bit later on when you try and see these carry movements. But early on, it can just give you that little bit of extra information to try and win out this lane and try and come back on top, because we saw in the previous game, Ush just wasn't able to play the game. And this time around, he's had a much better start.
For context, right now, Ush's 16 loss hits represents a more than 500% improvement over this particular stage that he had game number 1. So everything coming up Ush. He's feeling a lot better for himself. Down bottom, Sanctified almost lost his life, but he's fine. He's chilled. Has himself access to a Fairy Fire, still has some tangos. Unlikely to die under these conditions. Honestly though, this early game for Ant, this laning phase, like way, way better. Like orders of magnitude better than it was in game number 1 for themselves.
Yeah, 100%, and I think it just all comes down to the draft, right? Like they actually gave themselves a lot better way of figuring out what these lanes were, and they just sequenced their draft a little bit better, right? They made sure that Usher's pick, was still in relatively the same kind of spot this time around. It was second phase, but you pick a hero that doesn't really get dominated all too hard when you've already known what the plus 5 is going to be.
We also see the influence of Ush in the top lane as he saves the life of the Warden for now. Duster not going to be able to run him down and finish him off without any points into the impetus. But this time around, Ush can do stuff to help out his team when they're in trouble. The Warden can help out Ush when he's in trouble. Regrettably, with Warden going back, this does mean Ush is alone, so we'll see how he fares all by his lonesome. As bottom, they do go into with a snowball. Heroes are forced away though. Feeling G inside the eye shards. Will he end up losing his life here? There's the Infernal Blade. Beautiful gust coming in from Argius. Keeping the distance. Making sure that they can just keep the slow, steady pace. I feel like outside of the Doombringer, if I'm looking at this lineup on the side of Ant, if I'm just playing a very slow, solid, nothing really happening laning phase, and I'm playing Drow Storm Spirit, I am ecstatic at these proceedings right now.
Yeah, you definitely are pretty happy with how this is going, but, you know, CDUB, they kind of drafted themselves into a much greedier kind of team, right? Like, you have a Zeus as well as a Doom as your other cores in combination with the Red King, so they're not going to have the same kind of pace they had before. Isla.
He's dead. Dead. Isla is dead, yeah. They throw in the Rocket Flare from Feeling G. Couple of multi-shot waves from Argius. Ensure that he's low enough HP that the kill will be guaranteed. Alright, they exploit the timing when they know for a fact that this Tusk will not be bottom. They saw him die earlier. They know that he's most likely going to go and replenish the bottom middle, so it's like, well, take advantage of this window, and that's exactly what they do. Getting a pretty massive kill. And to make matters even better, you know, paradoxically, I think it's even better that it's not Argius that gets that kill, because I think this Drow is going to farm regardless, but soon, Feeling G needs to be moving across the map. So making sure that he has boots when he starts to make those early rotations, definitely going to make a huge difference towards their success.
Yeah, 100%. And exactly as you said, abusing kind of these ideas. Oh, that's a sick dodge on the snowball. Argius probably... Oh, no!
Argius, Thunder God's Wrath came out. They didn't keep chasing. They lost faith. If they had more faith in themselves, they definitely get that kill. But the turnaround, the missed eye shards means that they're not going to be able to find themselves a quick kill onto the Drow Ranger. Argius gets back, and Feeling G, you know, we were just talking about him having boots and how much it helps their future rotations. It also helps him defensively. If he doesn't have boots, Isaac can just dive him right now and kill him, but with boots being online, this is actually a surprisingly difficult kill to attain.
Yeah, the missed eye shards is an opportunity gone begging there for CDUB. Sanctified has missed a couple now, so needs to be a little bit more wary of that. The Warden's able to take down Duster top. Maybe this is a trade coming in for Double King. He's got a lot of boys at the ready.
I don't know about when he get it, he gets it. Yeah. Big right click coming in. Double King. Hashtag level 1 Mortal Strike still ends up being fairly useful. As he's able to find the kill there on top of the Centaur. Very useful kill to be able to pick up. Like, it's nice to be able to save the life of the Drow down bottom, but for CDUB, anything they can do to also accelerate Double King. We saw what this man can do when he had some farm, right? He doesn't play this Radiant style. He wants to be able to join his team as soon as humanly possible. And he's doing so again. Most of the components of the omelet pretty much compete right now, so not far away from having the full item.
Yeah, definitely feeling good with how this early game is going. But also, you're probably feeling pretty good if you're Ant, right? Like, you're looking at RL in the mid lane, 49 and 11, up against the Zeus from Mark. Argius still hasn't really started to streak ahead when it comes to the CS. He's falling quite far behind Double King. But you've got RL, who's actually able to make moves this time around. And you can see that they have some supports that can play with the Storm as well, the Clockwork and the Rubik. So they're going to have ways of coming in towards this mid-game and being able to get a lot of these kills. You see this Falcon Blade build up from the Storm. It's something that we're seeing a whole lot more these times around. Treads Falcon Blade just gives you this nice little item timing where you can start to catch out some of these supports a few more times. You're able to catch out some of these offlaners. And yeah, that looks like that is a stack that is being yoinked from Mark.
Yeah, Zeus is stealing it.
What can you do, man?
Very nicely done. They used Duster stealing up this Centaur Conqueror to be able to like body for it. Oh no, that's not what was supposed to happen, but nonetheless. When do you think the Storm can start making moves on the map to try and help out his team? Like you mentioned, he already has the Falcon Blade, so he has some kind of sustain and mana, but should he wait for the full power trades en route to the Kaya before he starts to make a move? Or do you go ASAP and try to catch CDUB a little bit off guard before they start to get their key items? We'll talk about it in a second though. As down bottom, we do see Sanctified almost dying, but Mark helping to get the turnaround with the Thunder God's Wrath, bringing down Feeling G. And now that they committed the Doom onto Arceus, they can all go in the opposite direction because cool guys do not look at explosions. As this Drow goes down in front of our own tier 1. Successful first rotation from the Zeus. Now, this is what I wanted from the Storm Spirit here, Fluke. I need this guy to be the one making the moves on the map.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like he's a little shackled by his supports, right? Like, you kind of need the level 6 on the Clockwork to be able to play around him because you need the hook shot. So, RL is kind of just waiting for that timing for him, and he can kind of go whenever he needs to, but at half HP now, this is rough.
He's actually might die here. RRL in a bit of a dangerous position. He's going to end up being able to get the quick pick onto Sanctified. They pop the Stampede to ensure that he gets away from danger. Duster almost lost his life here. Nature's Attendants healing him up. Feeling G trying to close the gap with this Battery Assault. Might have gone a little bit too far, so recognizes that it's time to retreat. Assault duration is about to finish. So they get the Tusk kill here. Weirdly enough, I'm not sure how much worth that grants them because they had to go all the way back to base for the Storm Spirit. He's going to go bottom though, so to try to make up for this, they have to get a kill onto Isla, and they're going to make the full dive. Isla still alive though. They get the jump onto Arceus instead. Arceus will end up being able to get the quick pick onto Isla thanks to RRL, and RRL enables them to get the double kill. Thank God for the Storm Spirit because Drow Ranger is now back in the game, baby. 2 kills, a ton of gold in her back pocket, and much more importantly, a playable game for Ant on the carry position.
Yeah, that's a good rotation coming in there from RL. This is exactly what we wanted out of him. He makes his way towards the bottom side, doesn't need his supports. That time around was kind of just reacting to a fight instead of looking for one, and that's exactly the reason why you pick up this Storm Spirit, right? Very, very good hero, just making those reactive TPs, and big wand as well for Arceus, so that committal was going to be a hard kill no matter what for CDUB, and they got themselves caught out instead. So now RL is really starting to make a stamp on this game. To be fair though, Double King completely untouched on the Wraith King. Still 600 gold ahead of the Storm Spirit, and he's about 1,400 ahead of the Drow as well. So he's going to be a big, strong boy. And then obviously Mark has had a free game as well. Got the Kyra up, going to go in towards the Aghanim Shard. And everyone just seems more happy. And this is kind of not a CDUB that I've seen just yet of them playing the greedier kind of style. Like, they've got 3 cores that are more than happy to sit back and farm. Had good lanes. They're the ones that don't need to make these transitions.
They have made a big movement happen in the bottom lane. Stampede gets popped now as well. They want to try to save the draw, but woo! Damage will rain down from the heavens as Mark ensures that there's no survival possible for the Drow Ranger. As Traxxas does find herself getting brought down. They loot the Clockwork as well. He did a pretty good hookshot to interrupt this snowball coming in from Sanctified. It ends up not being enough, however. As I've seen this movie before, a quick kill onto a hero in the safe lane, transitioning into a push onto that tower. CDUB trying to claim the first tower of the map by going onto the tier 1. You know, you were talking earlier in game number 1 about how quickly they took outer towers, all of them. This is probably second slowest game because we had a game together the other day where it was like 14 minutes before the first tower fell, but this is certainly up there in terms of how slow the early pace of the game has been.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that just kind of harkens back to the draft that CDUB have, but RL looking to see if we can get the kill here on Duster.
Should be able to find it.
Okay.
Yeah, nice.
I wasn't sure if they just had enough, but with maxed out Overload as well as Static Remnant, it's always going to be enough. So, yeah, I think this just kind of comes back to CDUB being one of those teams that is very, very lane focused and very, very good at their early game, and they're the one that's playing the slower kind of greedier draft, and they don't really have the heroes that can just take over a lane like you've seen like Beastmaster and all that kind of stuff. So it is just a nature of the draft, but now you can see that Ant are starting to up the tempo.
Oh,
you almost have the Witchblade available here on RL as well.
He should be able to get the goal to complete the Witchblade by killing off Sanctified, as this Tusk really in a dangerous position. He snowballs onto the tower just to keep himself as close as humanly possible. RL Snowballs past the marker shown up. Sanctified is still alive for now, but will eventually die. The Warden gets the kill, but it's going to cost the life of Feeling G. This probably took a lot longer than they thought it would. But Feeling G, those power cogs, man. Alrighty, we see you, Clockwork. He stays alive as a result. He gets himself out of dodge. Unfortunately, doesn't lead into them being able to pressure the tower. And because it's 3 heroes committed in the mid lane, you know, the Centaur is stuck being able to just stay in the safe lane. Can't do much against Double King. And of course, bottom, Doom is just, you know, doing Doom things. So overall, they lose the Sanctified task, but feels like they gained on the map as a result. Unless they end up losing this Enchantress. But they get off the Doom onto this Rubik. Rubik getting salvation right now thanks to this Gust from the Drow Ranger as well as RRL making his presence known. They're trying to bring down at least one of these heroes. Enchantress almost killed Drow Ranger by herself. Will end up staying alive, and there's going to be the kill onto the Warden thanks to the Thunder God's Wrath. Doom ends up not going to waste. Top lane, we see Ash. He has to run away from Double King. He's on so low HP. If he gets hit with the Wraithfire Blast, he probably ends up dying. The Skellies are giving the vision. Will they tank the tower for him? No, they will not. He realizes, well, Ash is probably just gone. It's fine, I'll let him go. But this is concerning me, Fluke. Every time they get a kill on the side of Ant, it always results in them losing something of real substance. Like down bottom, they almost just lost Sanctified. Yeah, he's gonna end up dying. Argus almost died here, but not I see both supports being drawn to this side of the map, and therefore not pressuring mid, not pressuring top, leaving Mark as well as Double King to just farm to their own devices yet again.
Yeah, and this is where you can see the net worth is really starting to balloon out for CDUB, right? Like Double King and Mark, untouched. Double King has a 15-minute armlet and a Deso, by the way. So if he gets close to anyone, they're just going to melt. And this just means that they're able to take more of these tier 3 towers. Those initiations on the bottom side, Sanctified trying to get the kill onto the Drow Ranger was a little bit of a question mark for me. Maybe he thought he just had a little bit more damage. If you had the Thunder God's Wrath, hell yeah, go for that kill every day of the week. But they weren't able to do that one, and now there's a team fight happening.
They go in with the Stampede though, looking for some targets first and foremost. There was a Gust onto the high ground. RRL jumps off the Mark. They've already lost the Clockwork and the Centaur. Double King ends up bringing him down. RRL getting a quick kill though onto one of the supports. He brings down the Zeus next. Sanctified looking in a very dangerous position himself. But now RRL has convinced, or committed rather, a lot of his mana pool. Does manage to zip into the river, so that's going to keep him alive. Double King finding a way to just stay away from Argius with the Wraithfire Blast. Isla doesn't have access to the Blink Dagger, so he just can't recommit immediately onto Argius, but they're going to be looking towards Argius. Nice little Gust to ensure that there's a silence. There's no Doom available either, but still the Doom hero itself still feels strong enough that it's worth running away from. And Ant, although they've been taking fights that have cost them something previously, this time around, they get a much better trade out of it. Yeah, they have to lose the life of the Centaur, but it does come by bringing down Mark, bringing down both supports, and taking a life away from the Wraith King.
Double King just stood his ground against like 3 or 4 heroes, and he was still able to kill the Centaur. So I think that just goes to show like how strong Double King is right now. 3.2k damage by himself, and same amount of damage coming in from RLL, who was able to just get into the background. Unfortunately for Mark, he was about half HP when that fight kind of broke out, and that meant that RLL didn't have to commit all too much to get the kill onto him, didn't have to heavenly jump either, so it wasn't you know, the best of team fights for CDUB, especially because Mark Double King got caught out very, very early on as well. So these fights are starting to show a little bit of signs of life here for Ant. RL, I think he still has a lot of emphasis on his shoulders. At least now that Isla has his BKB in his hand and Midas, he's going to look to try and get these fights going for his team, because they didn't have Doom in that fight, didn't have the hero, didn't have the ultimate either. So that was a fight that went relatively even, considering that there was no Doom to come out on RL.
Yep. I mean, speaking of this Doom, he's getting Blink Dagger next, and we are still fairly far away from the Storm Spirit having access to a Lincoln Sphere. So this Doom will always be effective for this stage of the game. Feels pretty scary. He's pretty much got it right now. One more creep camp. I imagine CDUB is going to try to go for a smoke soon, because they have all their ultimates back online. They know for a fact that there are 0 Lincoln Spheres on the enemy team. There are 0 BKBs on the enemy team. If we Doom a target, we will kill them. It's only a matter of finding out who they are. So the blink is up. We'll see what they decide to do right now on the side of CDUB. The important thing, and I think the frustrating thing though, Fluke, it's 18 minutes into the game, right? When you haven't taken a single tower, and all these towers are more than 50% HP, This is a rough time. This just feels awful because Drow is not the kind of hero that just farms her own jungle. She wants as much space on the map to be able to farm. We actually see her jump forward. Isla commits the Doom onto the Rubik of all heroes. All right. I mean, sure, mate. You're going to get the kill, I guess. But that... Dude, you committed a BKB charge and a Doom onto Rubik. That does not seem like the play for CDUB.
Yeah, no, that's not worth. If you're Ant, you're like, hell yeah, we got the 9-second BKB as well as the Doom coming out of Isla. Yeah, that was, maybe he was expecting a few more heroes and that was to actually become a team fight, but you can just kind of see the power of Centaur, right, where he just hits the Stampede button and then you have to commit more than you originally wanted.
Ooh.
Now there's no Doom.
Get a quick kill onto Duster, but there's no Doom, but they might still have the damage to bring down the Storm Spirit. It was all a bait, Fluke. They baited us as well. Ash is about to lose his life. Feeling G in the midst of 4 heroes right now inside the power cards. He gets himself brought down. All right. Ant were on a similar train of thinking as us. And unfortunately, that's what CDUB was relying on. They punished them super hard in the top side of the map, managing to bring down 2 core heroes and opening the path to Roshan. Double King can do this alone. He's going to get help from Sanctified potentially, coming in with the tag team. But honestly, it's completely unnecessary. It's just looking like a... Oh, wait. They actually don't feel confident. Do Double King... Go do the Roche, mate. You can do it.
Well, the one issue with Wraith King soloing Roche is Roche one-shots your little scaling Roche. So it is a little hard to play it because I remember before they changed it, it was remember when Shadow Shaman was like kind of coming back in the meta and you would just drop snakes in the Roche pit and Roche wouldn't be able to deal with them. It's kind of the same deal with Wraith King because they're summoned units and they're not the same as like a boar or anything like that. So they get kind of like one shot by Roche. So it's a little sad just to be able to play that. But I mean, as you said, like a massive debate. I was like, all right, this is not going to be a fight they're going to be able to take. You can even see it on RLL, where the way that he played, he was like, there's no Doom, there's no BKB, I'm free. And then they just get a 2-man War Stomp, and that's kind of it. So, I mean, that's a real rough showing here for Ant, and I think they really need to wait for one or more of their item time to win these team fights. But Isla, he's stuck.
He is indeed stuck. He pops BKB though. And since they've already committed hookshot, he can just freely TP away. Nothing to be able to cancel the spell at this point, so he's fine. We saw in the replay there when we were looking back on that fight as well that you mentioned the jump from RL into the 2-hero War Stomp. I think one of the things that they also didn't bank on was they forgot how much damage Zeus can do. You know, in the last fight, RL was able to get on top of the Zeus, kill him off really quickly, and Mark wasn't able to have that much presence in the fight. This time around, Mark is alive throughout the course of it. He throws down Thunder God's Wrath from afar. And then you're just like, oh wow, this is actually a stupid amount of damage that's coming from the Zeus hero that's not even directly involved in the fight. So now CDUB, I think they're trying to get more map space here. They get the tier 1 tower in the top lane. Finally, we will see a tower falling bottom for Ant as they get something on the map. And this Drow Ranger in dire need of more help. She's going for the Manta style next. And Storm Spirit has just finished off the Sanjin Kaya. I hope he starts building Lincoln's BKB. I feel like this game is honestly unplayable unless you go Lincoln's BKB, maybe on even both your cores of the Storm Spirit and the Drow. But we'll see if Drow or Storm can survive this. Storm, well, there's the reveal of the Blink Dagger, my friend. It gets revealed and shown to this lovely little Storm. We saw the Doom earlier onto Rubik, didn't make much of a difference. This time around, massive difference onto the Storm. Q Lincolns, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it's still so annoying for you because they have other ways of popping your Lincolns, so it's not just like... The thing is with Dooms these days is obviously he can have the Ags build up as well, but the way that you just play with like Blink War Stomp, it's like, as long as the Doom is semi-competent with his team, you're going to be able to outplay the Lincolns, right? I believe... Was it China or one of the Western Europe games we covered where they were playing against the Doom and the same thing happened, right? Where it was just like you just instantly were able to counterplay the Lincolns.
China. It was China. Yeah.
China, yeah.
Speaking of Doom, he finds himself right next to Ush. And Ash gets backup from RRL, who just goes in, and there's the wall stomp yet again you're talking about. There will be the multi-shot onto the Enchantress, and they will be able to bring down the Ench. Snowball forward, nice salvation. Isla still alive, Double King jumping forward. He wants some targets here. They brought down the Rubik, but Mark, he's been isolated by the right clicks of Arceus and the jump in of Feeling G. Triple kill for RRL so far, but now RRL is starting to run out of mana. He needs to get the hell away from this fight. Can they get him out of here? Looks like that will be the case. The impetus shot's not coming in time. The Blink Dagger was still on cooldown for Double King's Wraith King. So it will hash out into being a 4-for-2 engagement, a buyback from CDUB to salvage it at the end. But RRL, this time around, not playing around the Doom. The Wraith King took too long to arrive. And we see the difference that can be made when they get to the kill on the Doom first, and then shortly thereafter bring down the Zeus. Suddenly, Double King, strong as he is, can easily be kited around.
Oh, they don't get the vision.
Dead? Oh no. Oh no. Feels bad.
Yeah, the thing is with shards is it only gives vision around the final destination, so he didn't actually get the vision when he went through the Centaur there. So unfortunately for Sanctified, he's not able to get himself a freebie on Ash, but exactly as you said, RL is playing really, really well around not having to play through this Doom. Now Mark, he's the one that's in trouble though.
Oh, they actually held the Wraithfire Blast until they can get around to him. Double King is going to end up losing his life. They thought they could get the quick pick on Mark. That was actually excellent play from Double King. Like he baited, faked out the Wraithfire Blast, anticipating that the Storm Spirit would dodge it, and then waited until the Storm Spirit landed to land this actual stun itself. That leads into a huge amount of burst. Mark drops the Wraithfire Blast on top of all the lightning damage. And now they have a clear path to Roshan. Dude, it must feel so bad being on the side of Ant right now. CDUB just keep catching them exactly when Ant feel like they're at their strongest. That's when they get exploited the most by the CDUB lineup.
Yeah, it just feels like CDUB are ready for anything that comes their way, and now they have an Aegis on their Zeus as well. He's going to go into this Aghanim Scepter, and I'm sure that after that, Mark's going to try and go for one of these defensive items, because you're going to see in these fights, he gets hook-shotted, he gets jumped on by the Storm, and he's kind of just food. And he was going for this Aghanim Scepter when they were much more confident with how this game was going. So once he picks that up, there's going to be a lot of extra burst for them. Double King still having an immaculate game, 6-0-3 on the Wraith King. Feeling good with how this game is going. He's playing very, very well right now. And unfortunately for Ant, I think it's going to be hard for them to make those fights go that way, go their way until they have multiple members. Oh, Isla, what a find.
Oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Seriously? Really? All right. This is even better than finding a random neutral item. We give Mark some additional gold. Get the kill. As a result of that kill, he is 200 gold short of having the full Aghanim Scepter. And they still don't have a single BKB in their lineup.
Yep. We thought Mark was doing a good job before. You wait till you see him drop all these thunderbolts everywhere. People are just going to have to try and duck, dodge, dive, dodge. I don't know, whatever. That was a very bad dodgeball reference, sorry.
It's dodge,
they're trying to avoid.
Dip, dodge, dip, dive, and dodge. Yes.
There we go. See, this is why you're a lot smarter than I am.
For RRL though, well, he couldn't dodge, he couldn't dip, he couldn't duck, he couldn't dive, and he couldn't dodge. So he just dies. While that's happening, Isla's busy rinsing off the Warden a bit more north side of that kill. 11k gold lead, and you were talking earlier about how good CDUB are, generally speaking, when they play from this laning phase advantage. This is much more impressive, right? When they know that they're going to have even lanes, but still manage to have a crushing mid game just off of sheer execution, it feels like.
Yeah, you can just see that they've got a lot of confidence in themselves and a lot of confidence in their ideas. I think this is going to be something we're going to be looking at for the remainder of Div 2 NA is going to be this Wraith King, man. Like the way the Double King is able to kind of confidently pick it into matchups that might not be the most stand up for the Wraith King. He understands, as long as he knows what the lane's going to be like, he can quite easily play this Wraith King to a very, very high standard, and he's a man after my own heart playing the one true king, so I'm always going to be a CDUB fan as long as they're picking Wraith King.
Yep. This is his second game, or third game rather, on the hero on this tournament so far. 100% win rate, like you mentioned earlier. Looking super, super hot. The hero overall is still 100% in the region, so between himself and Scourge McDuck, they're making sure to pad these stats for all of us globally. I'm actually curious what it looks like on an entire world level, but I don't think we have a moment yet because we might have a fight breaking out because they need to defend this bottom side of the map. They're watching their tower get caved in. This is so frustrating. You see that it's this Wraith King hitting the tower, so you can't actually jump him. You know that the Aegis is elsewhere, but dealing with the double life is still super, super hard. In the meantime, though, Isla managing to catch out Feeling G. No buyback on the Clockwork. He is only level 11, though, so he'll be back sooner than you can blink.
Oh boy.
Yep. So he'll be ready. He just kind of brought a bit of attention back his way. They have Aegis now for a couple of minutes, still a minute and a half left on Mark, so they're just going to try and tickle this tier 3 tower. And exactly as you said, this is kind of the power of the Wraith King, right? It's like you want to commit on him, but you know that he's going to have 2 lives always, and it just kind of puts you in this part of the game where usually you see these teams have to do this with Roshan. You can just do this with a spell.
All right, they set up for the 2 heroes inside the hoof stomp of Ash, but Ash might still die even through the BKB. They just have so much physical damage. Walrus punch into the air, some right clicks from CDUB, and they managed to bring him down. Double kick on a dominating streak. They also managed to save the Wraith King's first life with some pretty sick plays, jumping back with some smokes as well. Aldo, between himself and Argius, their combo up to bring down the Enchantress and remove the first life away from Double King. Looks like that will prompt the retreat from the rest of CDUB. Not really keen to play 4v4. They know that there's some new round of neutral items. Might as well go claim those. Get your heroes a lot stronger. Get Wraith King a Pally Sword. And it's not like you're going to lose map control in this interval of time, right? You can still just stack up and wait for the next Aegis before you make a push, given that it is expiring in about 25 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. So they're okay with just leaving this be. You don't want to over-aggress until you have Reincarnate almost at the ready. So you can see now in the next maybe 10-15 seconds is when they're going to be more than happy to try and get these fights going once again here for CDUB. They still do have a few things to try and claim on the map. I would like to see them get a little bit more of this triangle control back for them. They have put a lot of the emphasis towards the bottom side of the map and really just controlling this radiant side jungle. But if they're able to just control up this triangle as soon as Roche does spawn, there's going to be really no hold for Ant to be able to come into this game. They've got a lot of good vision to Ant to at least keep control of this triangle, whereas you can see a lot of the vision being focused towards this bottom side. But Ash gets caught out.
Oh no.
He died so fast. That's a centaur, by the way, and he died in the moment that he got Walrus punched in the air.
I'll be honest, right? I was like looking also on the map. I was looking at some of this vision above the triangle. And then I'm like, oh, it looked like they're going onto Centaur. By the time I clicked back, he was dead. I was like, wait, what? What's going on? But if you look at his itemization, he's actually not that tanky. 2300 HP. He has Blink, BKB, Vanguard, and a Cloak. So at 30 minutes into a game, this does not make you the uber beefy boy that you'd like to be as a Centaur. Gonna end up losing a lane of racks as a result of this. And they take it very casually on the side of CDUB. They're gonna back off. I think what probably didn't help that fight is that was also the reveal of full AC damage with the Desolator. So the mere amount of tankiness he does have on the Centaur very quickly eroded by this atomization of the Wraith King.
You blew it.
Yeah, 100%. It is kind of crazy. Question mark? Okay. There is a disconnect. We will eventually be able to figure out what's going on here for CDUB, but they're in a very, very commanding position here, and they have kind of once again handed out a spanking to Ant. Unfortunately for RL, this time around, he had a good lane and made some really, really good rotations, but he just got caught out by the amount of catch that CDUB have. And the one time that I was like, okay, Ant are really starting to come back and getting a stranglehold in this game was when they grouped up as 5. Haven't seen it since. They have been kind of on all different parts of the map throughout the entirety of this game. Haven't really been able to link up. There was a few times that RL as well as the Clock were able to kind of walk in and get some of these ganks going, but then they got turned on instantly and they lost the Storm and things started to feel bad. So maybe we might see Ant.
Speaking of Storm, he jumped onto RL. He jumped onto Duster rather, RL did, thinking that it was a potentially easy kill, but they were ready for him. They jumped on him. Mark created the space by dropping the Nimbus Cloud. Walrus punch to follow up, and then Double King is there for the right-click damage. Whew! Feels bad to be the Storm Spirit. Well, that is... You were talking about how things aren't that bad, or they could get worse for RL. This is worse, because you know what makes it worse here, Luke? He was 100 gold shy of BKB.
Bruh. That's the worst kind of feeling, because you know that item is going to be so important for you in these next couple of fights. It might not stop you from getting 100 to 0'd, but at least allows you to pre-BKB if you want to. Yeah. So the way that this game is going right now, CDUB, they are very much in the driver's seat, and at least it's only 20 seconds until RL's back up, but we're going to have 46 seconds till Roche may spawn. And if it's a fast one, then CDUB just get another Aegis on mark, they walk up, they take top tower, and it's going to be kind of just dotting your I's and crossing your T's to try and get this second game done. And their first series victory as well on the board.
Hey. First series win, and it's especially coming from a 2-1 loss. Getting a 2-0 win, that is a massive boost. Gonna buoy their spirits by some large margin. Isla right now, Octarine, bots to BKB with the Blink Dagger, building himself into a Hex. One thing, a hero that's really been struggling as well has been this Drow Ranger. Sure, we have seen some kind of cool multi-shots coming in from Argius, but he had to backtrack. He was building Lincolns first, came back for the BKB, and then still has to go back for the Lincolns because he recognizes that BKB by itself is certainly not good enough for the current game state. And that's going to be the issue for both of the cores. Stone Spirit definitely needs Lincoln Sphere as well. However, they do now have triple BKB. So you wanted to see them 5-man fight? They're going in for it as they smoke up. The worst target in the world is Double King, so they're going to dodge him. They might come across Isla though, but Isla, oh man, what a read. What a read. Blinks away, he runs out, he's in his own triangle. They simply can't catch him anymore.
Yep. Fast hands. He's going for a Wind Waker. I like the source, so I'm going to let him cook here. He has bots too as well before he gets rid of his Hand of Midas and fills up one of his slots. But this is the fight here for Ant.
Divine Sanctified, but he's going to be able to dodge some of the damage with the Snowball. Look how much damage they've already dealt to RRL because of the jump in from Double King and the ultimates coming in from Mark. At the same time, they apply the Doom to the Drow Ranger, so she is down and dusted. Yule Scepter from Isla to throw up Rubik, allow him to count his blessings before he has to count his curses as he gets killed on the way down. 4 down, only 2 buybacks. Another lane of racks seems set to fall here, Fluke. And if I'm honest, I think another set of Gs should be coming out fairly shortly, given how well CDUB has been playing.
Yeah, that was... you could see that RRL is very tentative at running in and putting himself on the front lines because he understands that that's where all the emphasis is going to come from CDUB. And he played it nice and slow, but unfortunately Double King was just able to find him out and just blows through him. And now RL is dead. They finally get the catch onto Argius, and yes, they've got buyback on the Drow, but you know, you're allowing 20 seconds of your base to just kind of be handled by CDUB here, and they're going to get tier 4s. The game won't end because I don't think they're going to have enough time to do it, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, they're going to force some buybacks at the very least. Drow's out, which is such an honestly huge win for them. Even if you don't necessarily end the game or get megas off of this, the fact that you force their most farmed hero to have to buy back in a genuinely impossible situation, you're like, all right, sweet, bet. We're happy with this. Do that every day of the week, please. And
yeah, especially when he's buying back with only like 10 seconds left to go, right? Like usually a rule of thumb is you want to have like 30 seconds to go, but the video game-ending fight.
They go in directly for the Centaur. Centaur can buy back. Pops the Stampede immediately to get his heroes out of dodge. So they know that they've already committed down this young Nimbus Cloud, but Centaur, he jumps into it before they can destroy it. Oh no, he is dead, down to rights, no buyback, didn't trigger off the BKB. They take away the first life from the Stray King. But as mentioned, that is only the first life. Double King is not just his name, it's his state of this game, and he's still a king twice over. Can't kill him again. But oh my god, Ash didn't get off the BKB, he didn't pick BKB, Fluke. He jumped into Nimbus without BKB, how?
Sometimes you're just not thinking about the little things, right? And especially in a game like this where you are very, very far behind, you kind of need to have everything go your way. And unfortunately, it just didn't go the way of Ash, and he died back this time around. They're trying to give him a little bit of his extra levels, but with an Aegis and a free shard. Yeah, this game is... I want to check the win probability. Yeah, it's 100%. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was going to say, I feel like this game is next to impossible to win. And Dota Plus agrees with me 100% right now for CDUB. And yeah, this is a rough one. And this is really rough for Ant because losing the series up against Sand King Gómez and now losing a series up here against CDUB, who I think is kind of hovering around the middle towards top of the pack of Div 2 North America. It means that you're going to be going up against teams like Tilted Boys and Fart Studios a little bit later on in the tournament, and those series aren't going to be any easier than what this CDUB one was. So it's going to be a rough test for Ant to try and stay in Div 2 here if they go down in this series, especially in convincing fashion like this. But I mean, props to CDUB. They've looked really, really strong in this series.
Yep. They've been looking pretty incredible. Funnily enough, although Ant ended the last tour in 3rd place here in Div 2, having a 4-3 scoreline, they found themselves losing to CDUB, and now the Doom comes in from Isla. They want to try and bring down this young Draw Ranger. She's down for the count. The double Thunder God's Wrath from the heavens, and they're going to be forcing a fight here. First life taken away by Double King. They do end up losing this Tusk as well, though. Buybacks will be in from the Rubik. They really want to just try and end this game, and that is what they will achieve for themselves as Ant call the GG. We have a repeat of the last tour as they go down 2-0 up against the side of CDUB. But unlike the last tour, these games flew.